When I'm going to fire up my oven, there are three things I'm taking into consideration. What I'm cooking, what kind of heat I'm looking for, and where I'm going to place my fire. I don't see the point in having a large fire just for the sake of it. So once my oven reaches the temperature I'm looking for, my goal is to have as much floor space as possible and only enough fire to maintain that temperature. The effectiveness of the fire in any wood oven depends on a combination of the oven's thermal mass, the insulation you have around it, and how much heat retention that produces. An oven with good heat retention will require less fuel to maintain the temperature, which means a smaller fire, which means more surface area to work with, and I think much greater flexibility. So I'm talking about my oven, which is a round domed oven, 102 centimeters or 40 inches in diameter. You're always going to have the heat from the floor, no matter where you've placed your fire. The only difference will be how that heat varies across the floor based on where you've placed it. So I'll begin with when I place my fire directly in the back. Placing it here provides me with the entire width of my oven and plenty of variable heat between the fire and the opening. And if I want to, I can get multiple pans in at one time. The pans either side will benefit from the heat from the fire and the heat reflected from the dome and the oven wall. And a pan placed in the center I can push towards the fire for more heat or pull towards the opening if it requires less. And all the pans are within easy reach to move around. But if I'm just cooking one dish at a time, I've got plenty of floor space and variable heat to choose from. Then there's placing the fire directly to the side. It provides me with the full depth of my oven to work with, and it's perfect when I'm making pizza. A large fire can produce plenty of heat and reflect a lot of it from the dome and the oven wall. The fire to the side has its advantages, but I primarily use it when I'm making pizza. Unless I begin with a smaller fire, I find the heat in the back is too high to cook many other dishes and will leave me with less floor space. And if I have a pan in the back, it can be difficult to reach without using the peel. And if I'm cooking with multiple pans, they tend to get in the way of each other when I move them in and around the oven. The placement I most commonly use is to place the fire somewhere between the back of the oven and the side of the oven. In this position, I feel I can maximize the variable heat zones in the oven. I have plenty of floor space if I'm using multiple pans, and everything is within arm's reach. And along with the heat from the fire, I can also take advantage of the heat reflected off the dome and the oven wall. But not all dishes may require the same amount of heat, so I have plenty of room to move a dish closer to the opening and use the cooler air that's drawn into the oven. There is the option of placing the fire either side, or even in the shape of a horseshoe. Personally, I've never used this method. I find it takes up too much room in my oven and leaves me with a lot less floor space. But it's probably quite effective in ovens much larger than mine. Of course, I don't have to leave the fire in one place while I'm using my oven. Depending on what I'm cooking, the fire could begin in one part of the oven and then move to accommodate something different. Where you place your fire is all a matter of personal preference and what feels comfortable, but it's fun to experiment with. So I recommend you try placing it in different areas to see how you can get the most out of your wood oven. Your oven could perform very differently from mine, but the more you use your wood oven, the greater your understanding of how it performs and what it's capable of, and your instincts will become more in tune with it each time you use it.